Okay, let's look at blood clots. So I'm a specialist in the blood clot area because about 2 years ago, I woke up with a cramp in my left leg, and it didn't go away for a few weeks. And I talked to this medical intuitive, and she said, "Dave, you need to go to the hospital and get a scan, right? And ultrasound scan, right?" And I said, "Okay." And I had a blood clot from my hip to my ankle. They were like, "Holy shit, this is the biggest blood clot we've ever seen." And I'm like, "Holy shit." And I immediately thought, "Oh, I can't go, holy shit. I have to go. It's a done deal. It's gone." Right? Which is really one of the main things I do in my treatments. Imagine it's already gone. Make the sound of that, right? So now it's just about completely gone. I imagine it came from COVID. Never had major symptoms, but the fact that it's gone now, I mean, you'd think it would keep coming back if I was doing something wrong, right? Although I don't keep my cell phone in my pocket anymore, right? So, and I mean, I do hikes all the time. I was doing hikes back then, right? So it's not like but I would come back and sit for 12 hours on the computer after the hike, right? So that's not good, right? But it's gone, right? So I think it was the COVID. And here's the problem. You can't do sound on blood clots physically. You can do sound around the body and visualize it melting, but you can't. I couldn't. I've got like a bass pod, a subwoofer that I put on the body. I've got like a belt you can strap on the body with vibration. I've got a sound table. We make sound lounges. We make sound pillows and dolphins. I couldn't use any of them because if the blood clot breaks loose and goes into your heart or brain or lungs, you're dead, right? Most likely. It's serious. So it was a total bummer. I couldn't use any of my sound tools for 2 years. Actually, it was only a year. It only took a year. They did put me on blood thinners. Right? So it's interesting. It's like, so blood clots come from not moving, major surgery, severe trauma, birth control methods, that's interesting, pregnancy, well, hormone therapy, and genes, right? Being overweight can do it, confinement to a bed or wheelchair, sitting too long. I mean, a lot of sound you could do. It seems like one of the best things you could do is get people moving with the sound, even if it's just playing a drum, right? Playing an instrument and getting moving. I mean, that's especially if people don't move a lot. I mean, immediately after that, I mean, I doubled, quadrupled my hikes. I mean, even though it was a little painful, I was going to hike almost every day because the doctor said I couldn't get a massage even. I couldn't even get a massage. That was a bummer. But then, but I was hiking every day, and it was cool because the hike would make it feel better. But more than anything is just not going into fear. I mean, just about any issue, especially cancer, if you go into fear, that'll kill you more than anything. It's like a diagnosis should be against the law. So, but I bet you we could find a frequency that would completely melt the clot. In fact, I bet you we know it now. I mean, there's ultrasound that would melt that clot in a second, right? But it just has to be done completely. Can't be halfway, because if you melt part of it, the rest could go into the lungs or the brain and cause an embolism, embolism, blockage. I mean, you can always work at the emotional level, right? I mean, it was so funny because during that time, I had all my students working on my leg. And I said, visualize it melting with the sound. Visualize it melting with the sound. And they're like, ew. And it was like, it felt like it was really helping. I don't think blood clots are necessarily about anxiety. Maybe there are. But anybody have any thoughts about this? It's all about flow. It's really interesting because we're talking about flow big time now.
The more and
It's
more I
a,
wonder if finding like the frequency of like the actual medication is,
uh-huh. Oh,
and if
blood
it would
thinners.
have the
Uh-huh.
same type of side effects as
Uh,
taking an actual medication.
uh-huh. So the frequency of the blood thinner?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy actually when you think about it. There's a video I showed in class where they're using ultrasound to break up cancer cells, and he talks about actually using that ultrasound to break up a blood clot in the brain. When somebody has a stroke, right, to melt it, right? So it's this. I mean, this is like the potential here is so huge, and with zero side effects. I mean, what do they do now? They do surgery if it's really bad. They'll do surgery and go in and try to bypass that blood clot on the vein, right? Just cut it out, right? But I mean, and also my brother had blood clots as well, although it seems to be different because he's still on blood thinner for 20 years now, and he he actually had an embolism or whatever they call it, where it actually broke off and went into his brain, and he couldn't move, couldn't think or anything. And they got him to the hospital and put him on massive blood thinners. What they do, they just put you on massive blood thinners to be able to actually melt it. I mean, but that's a little dangerous, I guess. So they don't do that, if you just have a basic one. But you would think that they could actually totally use ultrasound and totally melt the blood clot with MRI while looking at it to see if you totally get rid of it, right?
And don't
And
they already do that with kidney stones?
with what?
Kidney stones?
Yeah, yeah, they do it with kidney stones, but kidney stones don't have that danger of breaking up and going and killing you, right? Whereas, so if you're going to do it with blood clots, you got to get every little piece, right? Which I would think could be done, could totally be done if you maybe they can't see with the MRI close enough or something. I don't know, but I would think they would be able to. I mean, you can totally work from the other direction and you think, okay, well, what causes the blood clot in the first place? If you got weight loss, you could work on that emotional issue that's causing the overweight, someone to be overweight, right? Um, But it looked like it was interesting. It looked like a lot of the causes of blood clots are actually trauma, right? I mean, as they're saying here, you know, it's like I mean, surgery, surgery, right? Hospitalization for illness or surgery, right? Hmm. I mean, we should. Here's another way to think of it. You could actually have an electromagnetic device that connects, you put on the leg or wherever it is, and have it electrode above and below it and have it play a song from one electrode to another, or a flow of electricity, boom, boom, right, boom, to totally break it up. Oh, we got a lot of. Let's look at the chat here. Yeah. So this is a tricky one, a really tricky one with sound, because normally, I mean, at first when my leg was cramping, I totally put the base pod on it until I went to the doctor and they said, you can't do that. It's like, bummer.
Hey, David,
Mm-hmm.
what is the difference between putting a base pod on it and hiking? I would think that hiking would be strenuous and could move a blood clot as easily as like a massage, or maybe not a massage, but maybe a sound lounge or something.
That's a good point, because it's definitely causing more blood flow, but I guess it's not so strong
Huh.
that it would actually break off the whole clot. That must be the deal. Whereas, vibration is much stronger. That's my guess as to why.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Uh, what if we just calibrate the amount of vibration so that it's similar to blood flow on a hike? That would be cool.
Well, blood flow on a hike, your heart is pumping. I don't know. It seems more dangerous than sound massage.
Well, it was interesting. Every doctor said no, definitely go on hikes.
Huh.
They totally recommended it.
I was told to that someone should not go on an airplane because of the pressure differences.
Yeah, but actually, I researched that pretty much in detail, and it's
Hmm.
not even the pressure as much as it is not moving. It's
Huh.
actually way more not moving than the air pressure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's because I looked at it. I looked at it in detail because then I thought, wait a second, I want to drive to Mount Shasta and work with some aliens there, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to be moving my leg the whole time while I'm driving, because it's really not moving is the biggest problem.
Why is not moving the problem? It builds the clot.
Yeah, I just see this visual of, more of it kind of just building up, because the
Hmm.
blood is a little thick and it just keeps adding on top. Where if there's flow, it kind of is like a river over
I think
sand.
the sound lounge and that kind of vibrational massage is a really great preventative for blood clots.
Mm-hmm. Uh huh. Oh,
I,
good. I think you're
right?
right. Uh huh. Right.
I think it's a good preventative.
Um,
Well, it seems to me that the doctor that told you to do that was more focused on the flow of your blood system than the specific clot.
Like if the heart is beating, then like a clot won't stop in the heart.
well, it depends how big a part breaks off.
I don't know. I feel like I really need to talk to like a cardiologist
Mm-hmm.
about this
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I
Right.
it's
Right.
the
Totally.
biggest thing that I encounter in my sound massage practice of like what are the limits, and because right now I'm just looking at, okay, well, someone that has high blood pressure, but doesn't have a clot that they know of yet, like what are the cautions that I need to take with someone? Is it that they have an actual pain in their leg or in their neck, and what cautions do I take? Do I just play on the
Cool.
body like a foot away, like somewhere else on the body, or a foot away in their field, or what exactly are the cautions and what exactly are the indicators for blood clots that might travel.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, that's cool. Really cool. Um, the information, it is tricky because you could have just a pain in a muscle. It could be very similar to a blood clot. I mean,
huh
that's right. I mean, this pain was quite. It did feel different than a normal pain because it felt just like a um, cramp, a serious cramp, really serious cramp that didn't go away.
Stagnation,
Hmm.
stuckness.
I guess the main takeaway here is you got to be careful with this one. You got to be careful when doing sound. Now, doing sound around the body is totally fine. As long as you're not getting physical vibration on that part of the body, doing sound because getting people. I mean, getting people in a blissful, universal love flow state could totally take care of it. I have to tell you though, it's like when I had this blood clot, I was driving to Mount Shasta, and this guy calls me named Stormy, and he says, "I've been a healer since I was 5. I was born in a lightning storm, and I'm 75 now." I'm like, "Whoa!" And we talked for 3 hours on the way to Mount Shasta, and he did a healing on my leg, and he said, "It's a done deal. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Don't think about it anymore." And that was really cool because then I stopped worrying and I thought, it's taken care of. It's going away, right? I've got to be very disciplined and just stay in that energy. And I feel that was one of the number one things that helped it go away was to stay in the energy of flow and source instead of worry. Even worry to like, okay, what am I going to do today? I'm going to put some mud on it. I'm going to put some, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, oh God, I got to do this. I can't not do this, right? No, relax, right? And it'll go away. That was helpful. Any other thoughts about this? The potential is so huge, I think, with ultrasound to just dissolve those. I mean, it's kind of crazy that there's not serious research on this already. I mean, I imagine they've thought about it, right? To be able to dissolve blood clots with ultrasound, because ultrasound is the people that do ultrasound. It'd be cool to talk to the people that make ultrasound units and say, why haven't you focused on this? And they might say, well, if you don't get the whole thing, it could, go into the. I mean, it's tricky because you got to get that whole thing before it breaks off and goes into the bloodstream. So it's like you got to zap it really quickly somehow. I could see that that could be a problem because if you're halfway through and it breaks off, it's a real problem. Hmm. Okay, we'll leave that one for now. Any other thoughts or comments about this one? I have to tell you, I got an email from someone a few days ago. They said that they've been going to sound bath, and every time they go to sound bath, they get so relaxed that their heart stops working, and they have to go to the doctor and get like almost shock therapy to get their heart working again. It's like, oh my God, what a problem to have. Getting relaxed is a problem. It's like, she said, what do you think about that one? I'm like, well, the sound bath is working. Yeah, yeah, bowls are activating. You got to be careful with them. Okay.